Hello, everyone. A very good afternoon. I'm Geeta, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of Solar Quarter First View Group, and of course, our exclusive partner for today's event, Aztec India, for a very exciting webinar on setting up new standard for module mounting structure technology. So let us begin with an introductory video.
Aztec started in 2004 with two guys who were solar installers, and it's amazing what they achieved because in 14 years time we turned out to be the market leader in the Benelux. And innovation is the key of our success from the past, but we think it's also the key of our future.
all about increasing efficiency for the installer. It's key that they are involved in our innovation. That's also why we have the Innovation Center, so that we will innovate with them.
We always develop our products with the installer in mind. That's why we have now the ESTEC Innovation Center, where we meet with our installers to understand their needs and make the best products for them.
Okay. Ik zie nog niet mijzelf op beeld. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon and welcome to the ESTEC seminar of this afternoon for India. We are very happy that you all joined in. In order to allow a little bit more customers to join in, we will start the official program at 3:45. So please, we share one more time our videos and we will start the program at 3:45. Thank you.
ESTEC started in 2004 with two guys who were solar installers, and it's amazing what they achieved, because in 14 years time we turned out to be the market leader in the Benelux. Innovation is the key of our success from the past, but we think it's also the key of our future.
It's all about increasing efficiency for the installer. It's key that they are involved in our innovation. That's also why we have the Innovation Center, so that we will innovate with them.
We always develop our products with the installer in mind. That's why we have now the ESTEC Innovation Center, where we meet with our installers to understand their needs and make the best products for them.
Okay, very happy this afternoon to introduce our program for the ESDEC seminar. Here in the ESDEC Innovation Center in Deventer, the Netherlands, I'm happy to present Dielke Boersma and myself, Mark Dalderep of the ESDEC Solar Group, to host your program this afternoon. First of all, we really respect the current situation in India, the COVID-19 conditions. So safety is our primary concern for all the attendees and participants in this event. We have checked with many sources and everybody confirmed to us it's okay to run the program today, but we will still be safe, tell everybody. We are going to introduce today a number of products that are related to our global ESDEC Solar Group. The ESDEC Solar Group started in 2004 by two installers in the Netherlands and grown to a wide range of companies located in the US, in Europe, and now also in India. We started in 2020. India is an exciting market. If we look at the rooftop business for India, we can see that in the last few years, a lot of gigawatts have been already installed. Depending who you follow, Mercom, Apricom, Bridge to India, IHS, anywhere between 7 and 5 gigawatt is already installed by the end of 2020. We are all aware of the government's goals to have 40 gigawatts of rooftop installed in 2022. So we want to run a first poll question for you to see what our audience is thinking, what would be realized by 2022 in rooftop solar. If we follow the experts, it's anywhere between 10 and 15 gigawatt additionally to the current installed base. But what do you feel as the experts in India? So please allow me to run the first poll question where you can answer A, B, C, or D. So either under 10 gigawatts, 10 to 15 gigawatt, 15 to 20 gigawatt, or do you think by 2022 there will be over 20 gigawatt? Please enter your choice and we will see what our group thinks about the market for rooftop solar by 2022. In the meantime, when you're voting, we will present the program in a moment, and then we will hand over to a list of speakers. Very roughly, the program will be that first we have 4 speakers. I see the first results already. So 10 to 15 seems to be the primary choice, quickly followed by 15 to 20 closely, and then over 20. So we have more optimists in the group, very good to see. So whatever the choice is, whatever the choice is, we are here today together to launch a few specific products for the Indian market based on the global experience of the SDEC Solar Group. What we want to achieve is to help you with the energy transition in India, to help you to reduce your time for project planning and installation time, while you have maximum return of your investments and the most safe system in the world on your roof. So the products we will launching today are based on many gigawatts of installed base already in Europe and in the US. So without any further ado, I would like to introduce to you the speakers of this afternoon's program. First of all, it is our absolute privilege that our Dutch ambassador of India will join us in a moment. Then we have from Renew Power, Srivanis Kala. We have Dielke from the CTO, Chief Technology Officer of the SDEC Solar Group. We have our Managing Director of the SDEC India Operations, Nitin Boshill. And during the panel discussion, we are happy that Freek-Jan Frederiks will join us, Counselor for Innovation, also at the moment located in the Netherlands Assembly in India. So the first speaker of today will be Maarten van den Berg. Maarten van den Berg is our Dutch ambassador, Netherlands ambassador, I have to say it formally, to India, Bhutan, and Nepal since 2018. And Maarten is passionate about research-based global economic policies making, is an economics person, but is working for our Dutch government since 2004. And he will talk partly about the unique combination between India and the Netherlands. So Maarten, thank you for joining us. Please.
Thank you so much. And it's really a pleasure and an honor to join you for this, I think, fascinating webinar. Yeah, we all face huge challenges due to COVID-19. And also India at this particular moment is very concerned about all COVID-19 developments. So yeah, we are having very difficult times in India. But at the same time, during COVID, we see also a lot of opportunities. And what I also find very impressive and also inspiring, that so many activities do take place between India and the Netherlands. So also the launch of your innovative products on solar panels, and also this kind of webinar discussing innovative ideas together is, I think, a very good illustration what also is taking place. And it's really good to see this, also these positive developments. So again, congratulations also, and thank you so much for showing the video, because I have a better understanding what you're actually really making, producing and doing as a company. So thank you very, very much. Yeah, if you look to the relationship between the Netherlands and India, of course, we share a very, very long history. But also the relationship is, I think, very special. And there are several reasons why it is so special. I think partly of our history, but also partially of our presence of the Netherlands in India, but also vice versa of India and the Netherlands. We see a lot of Dutch companies being very active in India, and also a lot of Indian companies being very active in the Netherlands. And we focus our relationship very much on what we call the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, the global challenges. And also in COVID time, we had different activities and virtual missions. Recently, the big virtual mission to India, and SDEC was a part of this. And then we very much focused on a few global challenges where both India and the Netherlands can contribute to sustainable solutions. And I think that relationship makes it very special. And it's very much focused on innovations, on key technologies, looking for global challenges in our partnership, and also contributing not only to challenges in the Netherlands or in India, but very much also to our global challenges. And if you look to India and Netherlands, we very much focus on agriculture, of course, I would say water, of course, healthcare, and also very much energy, climate challenges. And what we try to do between the Netherlands and India is curating business opportunities out of global challenges, out of societal challenges. And I think that's very inspirational, because we work very closely between companies, the government, and R&D institutions. And it's also very successful. We had the state visit, we were at partner in the High Tech Summit here in India, Global Tech Summit, and you see a lot of companies like SDEC being very successful. And if you look to India, as you said yourself already, we will see a huge energy demand. And we need in India a huge energy transition. And it's renewables, but also solar energy has to be a big part of that energy transition. India is actually quite successful in renewables. They're also very ambitious in renewables. And we saw some indicators of your polling today. And I think, well, most of the people in India are also quite positive about opportunities in renewables, but it is very much a need to renewable energy in India. And it's very interesting, but also inspirational to see that Dutch companies like you can take part in that energy transition and being very successful here in India. So I'm looking very much forward to a very successful webinar. Again, congratulations with this webinar. I think it's very timely. Of course, it's done virtual. Sometimes also nice to meet in person, but well, as we said earlier, due to COVID, not possible. But at the same time, it's good that it takes place. So to have these discussions, and I wish you a very successful operations here in India, a very successful collaboration with your Indian counterparts. And I'm sure you will contribute a lot to the Indian energy transition. And again, it's a wonderful illustration of a very close relationship between the Netherlands and India. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Martin, for your insights and for your inspirational words to the whole team and to our audience this afternoon. As a second speaker, we are pleased to introduce Srivrenas Kalla. He is the head of design and engineering distributed power with Renew Power in India. He's located in Hyderabad. Srivrenas has been in the solar industry for about 10 years already, and he will introduce himself, Renew Power, which is a big installation company of solar in India, and give his opinion about the large installer of rooftop solar. So, Srivrenas, off to you.
Yeah, hi Mark, thank you. And I'm happy to be part of this session, and thank you for the opportunity.
Full screen.
Hope my screen is visible.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah. So I'm representing Renew Power. Like as Mark was telling, we are the largest renewable energy developer in India, having an operational and pipeline capacity of close to more than 10 gigawatt of capacity. If it comes to the like investors in terms of fundraising for the debt and equity part, we have multiple investors who include Goldman Sachs, Abu Dhabi, and like Canadian Pension, Zera, all these investors. And recently, we are the first renewable energy company globally to list via the SPAC route by merging with NASDAQ listed RMG2 at an enterprise value of $8 billion. So we have a footprint all across the country in terms of this large portfolio of whatever 10 gigawatt of capacity. And currently we are operating close to about 5.6 gigawatt, and these are spread across multiple states across the country. And another good thing is that we are also entering the module manufacturing business. It's like making us India's premier integrated renewable energy player in the upcoming days. So coming to the market challenges that we are facing in terms of rooftop segment, like Mark was highlighting that ambitious target that Indian government has set, which is 40 gigawatt. So the challenges, I could list down a few challenges, which are like policy framework, because you see, there is a lot of changes that keep happening in terms of policy regulatory work with respect to state and country. So that has to be in terms of policy framework that has to be changed so that the capacity of whatever ambitious target for 40 gigawatt can be achieved. And secondly, when it comes to the rooftop projects, if you see financing for these rooftop projects, especially for the small consumers and the consumers who are with lower credit rating has become an issue. That also has to be looked into to overcome the or to achieve these ambitious target. And coming to the third one, the capacity restrictions from the the respective states or even with the some of the central policies in terms of capacity limitation of up to 1 megawatt for a RESCO model or even for the CAPEX model. So those limitations should be increased to an extent for the C&I customer to increase or to add more capacities in the coming days to achieve this target by 2020-22. And also there is a huge gap between developers and the DISCOMs in the Indian market or in the Indian segment. Reason could be, see, DISCOMs are having a fear that they may lose some of the potential largest consumers who are best paying customers to them. So in that note, developers and DISCOMs connect should be there by a new policy framework of whatever gross metering or any sort of policy that will help to achieve this ambitious target. And that's all from my end. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Any questions, I would take it during the panel discussions.
Thanks very much, Sivrenas, for your nice words and also already your interesting comments. For sure, they will be part of our panel discussion later this afternoon. So before we enter the next speaker, I would like to run the second poll question for you, highlighting the elements that Sivrenas already mentioned. It is a poll question about what is the most critical factor considered while selecting rooftop structure by an EPC company, project developer, or installers. 4 choices: warranty, quick and easy installation, price, and design of structure and system. So please pick your choice, and then we can highlight these items again in our panel discussion later. Let's see what our audience is thinking today. Hopefully it is, well, great. I was a little bit fearful price would come at 1, but it's actually the design and the structure of the system. So it's an important factor. We will come back to that, Dielke, later in our presentation. But it's a very important point. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. Then I'm happy to introduce our India-made product, the IN10 flat-fix roof system. We will introduce that first with a video, and then Dielke will present the products step by step from our technology center here in Deventer. Well, that I think gives a good view of the system, and I'm happy that Dielke, our CTO, is here to give some more insight on the system. Before joining SDEC, Dielke has more than 10 years experience working for our company Philips, famous name in the Netherlands, and in that position also has visited India. So Dielke.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mark, for the introduction. Thank you very much also for the previous speakers, Maarten and Srinivas. It's very exciting to be here standing to introduce our new system for India. It's been a little bit of a journey, which I'd like to explain to you. And as Mark was saying, it's for me also, being back a little bit in India. I worked in India quite a bit when I was working at Philips, involved in solar lighting. That's also where my passion for solar, well, it didn't start there, but it really was even became larger there. So being back here, standing in front of you, I know you're going through tough times in India with the COVID, but I'm very happy that you still were able to attend and that we are now allowed to introduce our new product. This is the product. It's called FlatFix Fusion IN10. And what we did about a year ago, we said we need to start to understand the India market. Of course, as we said, we have a lot of products in our portfolio. We have products in the US, we have products in Europe. But what is really required for the India market? It would have been the easiest to maybe say, okay, let's just sell our products that we have in Europe. But we knew that would not be suitable. So we spent quite a bit of time, and particularly the people on the ground, Nitin, who will tell us a bit more about that later, about, okay, what do roofs look like in India? What do installers need in India? What's the climate in India? I don't know how much you know about the Netherlands, but here it's fairly rainy, but we far from have the winds that you, for instance, have in India in some areas. We don't have mountains. Just an example of the differences between where we originated and what we now learn about India. It's also about, of course, price and affordability. That's completely different. Materials you're using in India are different than we're using in, for instance, Europe and in the US. So we spent quite some effort understanding the India market and basically adapting our product. So I'm very proud that after almost a year from the beginning until where we are now, we also have set up the local suppliers, so we can really produce a product end to end in India. We're also very proud about that. And the India team has been wonderful in getting all that on the ground in these fairly, as you all know, challenging circumstances, made it available. So here is FlatFix IN10, and we believe it's very suitable for the India requirements. I'll come back to a little bit on the details. But as you see, and I think hopefully the movie shared it as well, it's a flat roof product. We have different versions, east, west, and south. I will not share all the technical details because that's maybe goes a little bit too far. It's our most successful product in Europe. We have been selling it for at least the last 5 to 6 years. So we really think it could also really help, as Maarten was saying, the energy transition in India as well. And that's where I'm really proud of. The other part of what we do is not just sell a product, we also like to offer the service around it. And the good thing is it came out of the poll, that is very important for you as well. We enable our installers to make a project plan for their roof based on the product, of course, based on the location where they are, based on the roof type, etc. So we also launch what we call the Design Assistant for India. And at the back of this, there's a lot of intelligence which we bring to the India market based on a lot of tests and research which we do in Europe, and which we translated to the India norms and requirements. So it's fully tested, the product and what's behind here, to make sure that the ballast calculations that come out of this tool meet the India standards and are good enough. And also from a user experience, it should be simple. You should be fairly easy, be able to design your system and create a bill of material so you can get that product. It's available for you through the website, but some of those details will come later. So I'm very proud that it's not just a product, we're also offering the service, and we're also offering this tool for you to enable that your sale. Some of the details of the product, just high over where it differs from the product that we have in Europe. One part is for instance, the metal insert. As you can imagine, the climate and weather conditions in India are quite different from in Europe, as I said. So for instance, one of the things we've added here to the system, and actually we're taking that idea back to Europe, so it's not the full story, but we've added metal to make sure that the system is even stronger within the conditions of price, etc., versus the system that we're selling at Europe. Because for us, reliability is a very important factor. So that you are able, that you have a system on the roof that will stay there for at least 25 years. And that's what we find very important. We've also added, for instance, which make the installation easier, this multi-head screw bolt with the bonding. So the system is the panels are properly bonded, and it's easy to install for an installer. And you have quite some flexibilities on the tools that the installers use to install it. Because also that's first and very important, that it's simple to install, that the guys and the girls that are out there have that flexibility. And my last point is on the materials. We have seen that India is used to certain materials, galvanum in this case, that had different strength requirements, strength characteristics than we have in Europe. So we adapted both the side plate and the balustrade specifically for that. It's simple, but it's very effective. So also for us, innovation can be very simple, but it can be very effective. So I'm happy to hand it over now back to Mark.
Thank you, Dielke. We also have a small demo model here in our demonstration center in Deventer of this system, and we will explain more to you. But now to explain, it's not only a system, it's not only a design, but it's a total support structure in our organization in India. I'm happy to hand over to Nitin Bossal. Nitin is our managing director of the SDEC India team. He is in the solar industry since 2007, and he's happy to explain our support structure for our Indian customers.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay.
So thank you, Mark. So first, I will introduce about the SDEC India journey. We have started last year during pre-COVID time, and then quickly build up the team, which will basically provide the engineering and design related supports, and then quickly move to the local supply chain because Indian market is very cost sensitive. So we have developed in a couple of months local supply chain, metal and aluminum parts, and then also Indian markets having, let's say, more than 60% roofs are slope roofs. So introduce the ClickFit EVA solution. And then I think Duke already explained about Flat-Fix Fusion Ion 10 products. So we are pre-working, checking all the building codes, regulations, then material properties. And yeah, now today we are basically launching this Ion 10 product. So in terms of numbers, SDEC India, we have more than 25 employees. And as our concept is standard products, so we are always keeping ready stock for material for quicker supply and easy installation. So we have 10 megawatt in stock. Last year, we have supplied more than 150 projects, our mounting system solution. And this Flat-Fix Fusion system is 100% made in India. All the components are made in India. And we have a 200 megawatt per year manufacturing capacity with this Flat-Fix Fusion systems. When it comes to the services, product and services, we have basically two types of product. One for flat roof and flat roof or RCC roof, we have Flat-Fix Fusion Ion 10, and for slope roof, we have ClickFit EVO. For both products, we offer a 20 years warranty. And apart from that, we are providing online as well as on-site installation support whenever we require. And we have also online calculator, which help us to give the ballast calculation as well as bill of material. So in terms of products, we have two products. One is for RCC roof and flat roof, which is very quick, easy installations, and we provide 20 years warranty. For slope roof, it's having just 4 components. It's mini rail, mid clamp, mini rail, universal clamps, and screws. So our both product, flat fix as well as click fit, we have designed the online calculator. If you see the left hand side, it's a wind map. In Indian wind map, we have implemented all the code related to wind zones, okay, as well as terrain categories. And with this calculator, you can calculate, you can draw your layout, and you will get on right hand side basically the bill of material of the products. So here are like a few photos for during installation training and our warehouse in Mumbai. So as I mentioned, like we have supplied more than 150 plus projects. So these are like few clients. Those are regularly buying a mounting system from us. So this is not the full list. Then these are like a few photographs of installations. We have, let's say now almost every city, STEC systems are installed. There are, in terms of numbers, you can say 70% of the systems are south facing, but still there are like 20 to 25% systems are east-west facing. And nowadays, a lot of customers are coming with dual setup, either east-west or north-south orientation, because the space is becoming constrained. And we have also few installation with steel deck products. So that's all, Mark, from my side.
Okay. Thank you very much, Nitin, for your introduction of the support structure in India. Before we open the panel discussion, I would like to run the third poll question. The third poll question, we are back in the screen. Yes, thank you, Nitin, again. The third poll question is an interesting topic to start the panel discussion. So if we can have the third poll question, please, on the screen. What is the biggest challenge EPC project developers and installers are facing in terms of good rooftop structures? So you have a choice between the quality, the policies, like also already identified by Srivanas, a good design of the structure, which was also coming out of the second poll a little bit, but also the reliable and bankable structure of the manufacturer company. As we all know, the solar industry is an industry not so young, not so old yet, and some people have already come and go in this market. So, and your system needs to be there for a long time, minimum 25 years. So let's see the results of this poll. So number 1 is the good design structure. Number 2 is the very close between the quality and the reliability and bankable, and the third item is the government policies. Okay, then I would like now to invite all the panelists, and besides the 4 speakers we have seen so far, I'm also happy that we are joining in our panelist with Freek-Jan Frederiks. Freek-Jan Frederiks is a senior policy advisor for the Dutch government. He's at the moment located in Delhi, India, but has a big track record working in Asia for many years already. And I'm happy that he can join us also from his expertise. Freek-Jan, good afternoon to India, also to you.
Thank you, Mark. Happy to be here.
Okay, so maybe, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, if we can start with the last poll question and see the main topics there. Good design of structure to fit your project was the highest score. Is there anything we can add to that point from our panel? Maybe Dilke, you want to say something first?
yes, of course, I'm very pleased to hear that, because I think I also agree that it's very important that the system that you design on the roof is well suited for the location, for the roof. It's reliable, so it will last. And I think it's also important that it's fairly straightforward for the installers to build the structure according to the plan. So I think if all that is reliable and simple, it will really help accelerating the transition. So yeah, to me, it's a very recognizable point, and I'm very happy to see that also in India it's very important, according to you. So yeah. But maybe it's interesting to hear from maybe Srinivas. What do you see as the key point there? On the design of the structure itself?
So the key point always remain as design of the structure. But yeah, as mentioned in the poll, like all the 4 points are important. But yeah, anyway, voting also come in a similar line. The key design is the major thing. See, good quality of the system is also equally important because not just the design, like assuming the designer job is to design the system, but ensuring the quality is also plays a key role for the longevity of the system, because these are installed for 20 years, 25 years. So that way, the kind of warranty that the structure being provided is also important, which says how quality the product is.
Very good, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Srinivas. Maybe we can step for one moment to Freek Jan. Freek Jan, in the presentation of Srinivas, one of the key items was the policy framework. Is there anything from your expertise, having been in India for quite some time in your past and current career, what you can add to that situation for the solar world?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mark. And I think it's a very important question, right? I think on the policy side, you can really see, of course, on the one hand, the level of ambition, but on the other hand, also kind of the practical implementation and you know, catching up to those policy goals as you know, in a very, very important aspect. And I think when it comes to that, and of course, you know, the first poll also kind of suggested that we're at an inflection point now, where the market actually is catching up to policy goals. And I think therefore it's also, you know, very timely that SDEC and its partners are now ramping up, you know, its local production in India, and are here to actually support the installers of solar panels and solar projects to actually achieve those goals and create reliable systems.
Thank you, Freek Jan. One general comment I forgot to tell at the beginning of the discussion. So all our invitees, all our guests online can ask questions. Please put it in the chat box. And also, let's not forget that at the end of today, we have a very unique launch offer at the end of our presentation today. So please hold on for that. Some excitement is coming. Okay, thank you for that, Freek Jan. So if we look from a perspective of the capacity constraints that we also mentioned in Srinivas's comments, Nitin, from your experience being in the solar business of 15 years in India, so you see progression there? Do you see action to meet the goals? Because India needs a lot of electricity in the future. Much of that has to come from renewable energy. So the grid has to expand to take that energy. So is there some words you can share with us from that perspective?
Yes, certainly, Mark. If you see like Indian governments, they're having the target for 40 gigawatt to achieve in 2022. But that may be not possible because during this COVID time as well as just 2 years are left. But definitely, let's say 10 to 15 gigawatt can be added to that. And I think the biggest driving factor is price, because now the solar unit solar energy prices per unit is much cheaper than the electricity grid prices, and that's I think the biggest driving factor, because consumer having the choice and they wants to go with solar.
Okay, thank you. Maybe adding to that, a question to the panel is, how important is local manufacturing for mounting structure suppliers in India? Maybe Martin, can you say something from your experience, what you see happening in India now for local manufacturing versus importing? Or Freek-Jan?
Sure, I'd be happy to take that question. No, I think local production is extremely important, and I see Martin has also returned. But I think to enable India's energy transition and to enable those ambitious goals that have been made for solar installment, I think the local manufacturing is one of the key drivers behind enabling that process, right? And I think the introduction to SDEC as a company that really wants to be close to its customers and take those customer insights along in the products that they develop also really fits that model, right? And so if I look at the amount of progress that you've made in the past year, the only way that is possible if you actually have those close contacts and those strong partnerships in place. And I think that's really commendable. So it's really exciting to see that in a short time, you've actually been able to adapt a global leading product to the Indian market and Indian needs. And you're doing so in a scalable and affordable way. And therefore, together with your partners in India, are able to actually be an important part of that transition.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Martin, anything to add?
Yes, well, thank you. Yeah, it's true. On the one hand, you see a huge process on whether it's Make in India or self-reliance in India, a huge promotion of local manufacturing. And so there's a lot of support for this as well. On the other hand, sometimes it goes hand in hand with a certain increase of protectionism as well. And I think India has to balance those two, because I think it's very understandable the government wants to create jobs within India itself on the local level. At the same time, we all know that raising protectionism can also mean shooting yourself in your own feet. But I think very much what Freek said, I think being successful in India, and I think you're a very good example of it, is really dealing with a local context, a local situation, and finding good Indian partners. So it's really in a partnership being successful. You are, as I think, as SDEC, a so-called, as you said yourself, I think, in company of the future. I think you're very much fitting in Indian ambitions in terms of renewables. Solar energy is a huge need and also a huge ambition in renewable energy in India. So taking part with Indian partners in that energy transition can be a very successful strategy, being very successful in the Indian market. So I think what you're doing is a very good example, illustration of that strategy. And I think want to be successful is on the one hand, really connecting with Indian ambitions, finding Indian partners, and then you can be very successful in the Indian market. Thank you.
Thank you. Srinivas, maybe you want to add something from a customer perspective to local manufacturing perspectives in India?
Yeah, Mark. So basically, yeah, when the insight will be good when you are locally available, because as you see, there's a lot of growth in India. So local manufacturing will always help for any designer or for any technical feasibility of the structure, especially for any quality checks that can happen or to oversee the quality of the product. That's one thing, because many of the customers also look for that. And apart from that, from the customer perspective, if I would like to add on capacity restrictions, can I add a point on it?
Yes, yeah. Please.
So basically what's happening in India is there is a limitation of capacity with respect to the consumers in terms of rooftop, irrespective of the technical feasibility. So that has to be, the framework has to be in such a way that it has to be purely based on the technical issues, and all the consumers should be freely allowed to install the capacity up to their contract demand based on the what you call feasibility that can happen at their premises in terms of contract demand, or else next level is the substation level. Because see, these restrictions on rooftop with respect to the especially on the RESCO plans, where there is a performance guarantee for a period of 20-25 years because of the RESCO model. These limitations or restrictions are what you call are the key driving factors which are actually not allowing to add more capacity during the last 1 or 2 years, especially. From many of the states have come up with the similar policies of limitation in terms of 1 megawatt capacity and all. So those has to be relooked or reframed so that the capacity addition can happen much faster way to achieve the ambitious target.
Thank you, Srinivas. If we look at some of the questions that are coming in to mingle them with the panel discussion, one was a question maybe for Dielke, is about the weight of a system like we are now presenting comparable to other systems. I mean, what considerations are made for the weight?
Yeah, what I can, it's a good question. It's an interesting question. I think it was also flagged a little bit in one of the videos. Our fusion system is itself a lightweight system. So if you compare the weight of the system itself, and that's why we also chose certain materials, it's really a lightweight system, which is of course good for installers to carry it on the roof. The other factor, of course, which the experts in the panel will understand, is that the aerodynamics of a system is also very important to indicate the additional weight you have to add to the system in ballast. And also there, the aerodynamics of the system is very favorable. So the total weight of the system, when you include the ballast, is also still very low to competition. And then, of course, you have a lot of specifics on the exact weights. I'm happy to help you out there, but that is really depending on the location in India, for instance, of course. But overall, we can say the system itself is very lightweight, and the total system, due to the aerodynamics, is also very light.
Is there, the specific question was also related to weight per kilowatt or something? Is there some general statement we can make?
That is very, very dangerous to do, because you really, I mean, if you talk about the weight per kilowatt in sort of the eastern part of India, it's very different from the western part. So
right,
there you need to go into the specifics, and the calculator actually tells you all the weights in the end per square meter. So it gives you the number that the audience might be looking for. Okay,
and an add-on question to this just came in about the shadowing situation. How general statement is there something you can say about how close it can be to certain objects in the?
Yeah, I think that's a general question in terms of the angle of the system. We chose for 10 degrees, which in the end creates limited shade. Of course, the higher the angle, the more shade you get. So you can build it fairly closely together. But if you would have gone to a higher tilt, of course, we would have more challenges with the shade. So also there, the way it's designed has limited shade issues. Of course, if you have an east-west system, it's even better. But as Nitin was already rightfully saying, most systems are still south-facing and built in India. But also there, I think we chose a tilt which is relatively low to solve that issue.
Okay, good. Maybe to come back at one of the points that Srinivas made in his presentation is the financing of rooftop projects. We all know that in the end, somebody has to pay for the system. What trends do we see in the Indian market to help there? Srinivas, can you highlight a little bit more what you see coming to help with that structure? And maybe Freek Jan, you can add something from your experience.
So with respect to the financing for the rooftop projects, my point is because you see day by day the financing for rooftop project is becoming a challenge because of Nitin was highlighting, the tariff has become so low. It is very competent with the electricity charges, like it's close to about some 3 rupees or 2.5 rupees sort of tariff range that is currently going on in Indian market. So seeing that, what's happening is we have to add on more capacity so that these numbers can make sense or workable. So in that aspect, if you see many of the consumers in the Indian market or across the globe, if you see, everyone will not have a good credit rating where projects can be bankable easily with the credit financials of the consumer or the customer. But here, if you take a segment of small consumers who does not have the any credit rating, or if you take the consumers who are having lower credit rating, these set of segment, which is of a large portion, are becoming undeployed with the banks to develop the projects, especially on the RESCO models. So a credit guarantee scheme sort of thing to be implemented to mitigate the risk of the customer in terms of making it more bankable or viable. So that sort of thing should come into picture. That is one major aspect. Being these small consumers or the lower credit people are more in the Indian segment, especially 70 to 80% of the market is of small consumers and the lower credit consumers. Because now the current scenario is these what you call the industrial segment does not have any subsidy scheme. Like when you talk about residential segment, still the government is providing some subsidy. Like it's like a motivating factor for every individual to come up and install some whatever 2 kilowatt, 3 kilowatt sort of thing for residential. But when it comes to the small consumers, it has become a challenge for them to invest and go for a green energy in terms of going for a capex model of a system. So for them to encourage RESCO models, there should be some scheme from the government or banks in terms of a credit guarantee or other schemes.
Thank you. Freek-Jan, you want to add something to this?
Well, I'm sure Srinivas is much more of an expert here than I am, but we do, of course, in various other sectors, see innovative finance models coming up, right? And perhaps that is something that the solar sector can also look at as it's kind of dealing with these challenges. Of course, for larger players, also the lease of systems could be considered. But for smaller consumer settings, perhaps that's some of the innovative financing models that we're seeing elsewhere could be applied to the solar sector as well.
Okay, thank you. Just a general comment, there's a lot of project-specific questions coming in. We will react to all the questions in detail. For project-specific questions, we will take for now, for time consuming, some general questions for the big audience. So excuse us if we don't react to all of your questions within this limited time frame. So one interesting question just came in, the differences between Netherlands weather and Indian weather, and it's quite big. We all know that. I have been in India already also a lot of times, like Dielke. We experienced all kind of conditions that we are not used to. We have no mountains in the Netherlands except for some dirt mountains, but in India you have beautiful nature, beautiful countryside. But what can we say about this system coming from a Dutch supplier into the Indian market regarding the weather situation in India? What considerations are all made?
Yeah, so I think indeed the weather is completely different in India than in Europe, but I was referring it to the Netherlands. But of course, we work also a lot in the US, and there you have similar weather conditions. So we as a company are very much used to different climate conditions anyhow. I mean, also in the US, you have Florida with high winds and you have mountains, etc. So I was a little bit making a joke about the Netherlands, but the Netherlands is a very small country, below sea level even. So yeah, the big difference, of course, is the heat, the temperature in certain areas, and it's the wind, and in some areas, I guess, snow. We have a little bit of snow in the Netherlands, but less and less, unfortunately, these days. So there's a big difference. And for instance, on wind, as an example, we did a lot of effort, the technical team, to see whatever was applicable in the Netherlands, how we could translate that to India. So we had to convert, of course, those calculations to make sure that the system is also suitable for winds in India. So when you go into the calculator, you'll figure out that for certain areas, you have to maybe add ballast to make sure it's applicable for that wind speed. But that's different from the Netherlands. But yeah, so we had to adapt, say, our calculations to make sure that they also meet the Indian standards. So that's an example of where we really see a difference.
Okay, and maybe an add-on question, Dielke, regarding the panels. We all know panel sizes and panel power is changing at the moment. Yeah. This system, how far is it adaptable to the panels that we are now seeing coming to the market used in rooftop?
And Nitin will like this question because Nitin is asking already every day for even bigger systems. No, yeah. It's we chosen certain, but maybe you want to answer that, Nitin.
Yes. So presently with our system, we can with few panels we can go with 450, as well as there are like depending on length and width. Few panels are up to 500 watt peak. Okay, so up to 500 watt peak panels, we can supply this flat fixed fusion IN10 system.
Yeah.
Good. And of course, we monitor the market. If the market goes to higher rooftop modules, we will adapt the system. But we all know that some of the really large modules are more for ground mount. And at this moment, the focus of SDEC is rooftop structures. Additional question to this, bifacial modules using on the roof structure. Is that a problem for this kind of structure?
You need in general, for bifacial modules, you need a different system. So it's not directly suitable, the fusion. It depends a bit on the panel itself, but overall bifacial needs different way of attaching it to the roofs. To be honest, we also don't see a lot of bifacial yet on roofs. We see it more on ground mount. It might be different for India, but that's overall what we see. So there also for us, it's not a direct focus because as Mark is saying, we're more working on rooftop. Of course, if you have a more specific question, feel free to reach out to Nitin whether your specific panel might be suitable, but overall, it's not designed for bifacial panels.
Right, thank you, Dielke. Maybe to go back to a little bit the helicopter view on the solar market and the general comments made by Srivaras. The last point he made was the disconnect between the DISCOM. My understanding, DISCOM is the providers of the energy in India and the developers. Maybe from a point of policy in the sense of what can happen there, you think, Srivaras, and maybe if Freek Jan or Martin could add from a government connection point, because the electricity demand of India is huge. I mean, if we follow all the details, all the reports, India will be one of the biggest growing areas of electricity needs for the coming 20 years. And that must be generated, and ideally in green energy. You have a green president in Modi. So there's a lot of good trends in India happening. So Srivaras, how do you see what can be done? And maybe the ambassador can make a call to help you.
So DISCOM here is nothing but the distribution companies. So there are various distribution companies across the country. So it varies from state to state. Every state has their own regulation commission, and the policy also keep changing from state to state. So within the state also, there are some differences between the one DISCOM and the other DISCOM also. So here my point of what you call the point which I raised is basically DISCOMs are having a fear that because of this rooftop solar, because the way it is growing rapidly, this may this may lead to the revenue loss for the DISCOMs in terms of like a majority of the customers. Like example, if you take any particular metro city or any state where industries are there, if they are moving towards solar energy, then definitely that will be a loss to the DISCOMs as a sort of revenue. So that way DISCOMs are having a fear that these potential customers may lose out of our revenue bucket or the books. So developers, like on the other hand, like Nitin was highlighting, they are very keen on grabbing the customer. So on the change in market from day to day in terms of technology of bringing in, moving from 300 watt peak to 450 or a 500 watt peak. So developers are coming with a very aggressive tariffs to the industrial segment basically. So there is a lot of gap in terms of understanding this policy from the consumer perspective, because on one side, DISCOMs are limiting not to install more than particular capacity by putting capacity restrictions. And the other side, consumers are pressurizing the developers to see how it can be installed, how I can adapt the capacity, how I can overcome this policy sort of thing. So in a short note, if I say a comprehensive gross metering policy can help resolve this issue, which DISCOM purchases the entire energy from the solar, from the rooftop solar, which is being generated by any plant that sort, whether it could be any developer. So that power will be purchased by the DISCOMs irrespective of capacity based on the technical feasibility. And in return, that the same power can be supplied to the consumers at a discounted rate, because they are using the consumers' premises for installing the rooftop sort of thing.
Thank you. Freek-Jan, anything to add to this?
Oh, I think Srinivas, of course, makes a lot of sense here, right? I think globally we see a lot of models where DISCOMs actually are quite active also in helping their customers install these types of systems, and with that also ensuring reliable power supply to them. So, every DISCOM will have its own ideas about this, but I think that there's a lot of opportunity there also for them to step in and become actually a partner in the rollout in that way, and also perhaps helping overcome one of the earlier problems that were kind of signaled, where financing these types of interventions is often difficult for smaller customers to do themselves. And of course, if a DISCOM is involved in the rollout, perhaps that could help them achieve deployment, so to say, at their sites. So I think that's something where maybe looking at how this is done globally can help India also overcome some of the hurdles it faces when it scales up.
Thank you, Freek-Jan. Okay, let's go to one more question that came into the audience. It was about statement made, okay, we use a lot of plastic, but if you assemble, disassemble, and really assemble again, how is that working with plastics used in this kind of structure?
No, that's a question we often get. I also actually see a question on corrosion, so maybe that's also something that we can touch on, but it's a with the plastic itself, of course, has its bandwidth in terms of how often you can reuse it if you install and remove and install. But we've solved that issue with the metal inserts that I showed in my presentation. So because of adding the metal inserts, the system is still fully flexible and ready also for maintenance. So if you have to change the panel, or you have to uninstall the system for whatever reason and install it back, because you use the metal part for that, it's fully flexible for any reuse, to say like that.
Correct. So we have it also here in our system. We cannot uninstall it now, but there's a metal part inside here where the screws goes into the plastic part to make the bonding and to make it a safe and solid structure. So I think that would help. Okay.
Maybe if I can interrupt. Nitin, I think there was a question in the panel also about corrosion, and I didn't touch on that. Maybe you would like to elaborate a little bit on the test that we did and about the system.
Yeah, so with Flatfix Fusion IN10, we are planning to use a super diamond material. This super diamond material is having self-healing properties. With the self-healing properties, rusting will not happen, and that's why we are providing a 20 years warranty for a system.
Good, thank you.
Okay, good. That hit the topic of warranty. I wanted to bring that in. Good, very good, clear, clarified. Installation time seems to be also in some of the questions a key item. What are the key aspects why SDEC can help our EPC partners and installers with a quick installation time? What are the key bullet points to take?
I think also there Nitin is the best to answer because he is closest.
Yeah.
I can do it, but Nitin, you're much more.
It's see, our system is having a clicking technology. So with the clicking, it will be like very fast installations. Then our system is basically closed, so it required less number of ballast. Then it's closed from every side. Then less number of ballast is required. Then the system is designed in such a way it's having aerodynamic shape. Okay, so with all these properties, it's become very quick to install. Even the system sizes, or let's say the packing, is designed in such a way that the weight of the box is not more than 60 kg. So 2 people can easily handle it, take to the roof quickly and do the installations.
Okay, clear, very good. There was also a question about clamping. Where do we clamp the modules in this system? I think we can show it right here. It's not clamping on the side edge. It's side edge clamping, right?
Yeah, it's on the short side. So it's clamped on the short side.
So if you look at
I
the
think
model,
most experts will know it. Oops. It's clamped on the short side of the panel, not on the longer side. So I think that is fairly common in the India market.
and all the clamping tools are metal tools. There was also another question. So you see, it's lightweight. I can hold it. No problem. Okay, I think a matter of time, we're slowly coming to the end of our program this afternoon, but I would like to give the floor to our speakers to make some closing comments. To start with maybe Martin, if that's possible for you. From your point of view, is there anything to add from your point of view to our audience this afternoon?
So unfortunately, Martin has had to leave our session today.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I can just say that the progress that SDEC is making with its partners just makes us very proud, right? It's really a show in force, so to say, for Dutch entrepreneurial spirit. As an innovation counselor, of course, I'm also very proud to see that an innovative Dutch small and medium-sized enterprise is kind of entering the Indian market in a very successful way through this partnership with a product that is a kind of easy to install, reliable, scalable, and cost-effective. I think if you would ask us, what advice we would normally give to companies that want to enter the Indian market, we have a lot of P's for that: patience, perseverance, partner, price, and product. And I think SDEC really is a prime example of how you can be successful as a Dutch company when you enter the Indian market. So hats off to you for that. And as I said earlier, I think you're here at the right time. The market is ready at this inflection point. And we look forward to a lot of success.
Thank you, Freek-Jan. Maybe Srivrenas, do you want to add some last comments from your side?
Yeah, so as we were discussing about the Indian market, so India has set an ambitious target of whatever 100 gigawatt, out of which 40 gigawatt for the rooftop segment. So if you see, though the segment has doubled the capacity in the last couple of years back before this COVID, but after that, the growth has become a challenge and it got held up due to certain issues in terms of policy or whatever. So that has to be overcome with policy framework. And coming to the Aztec, I really like the 20-year warranty thing. Now, actually, many of the consumers or many of the developers have lot of questions on how to maintain this system for a longer period, and how on a day-to-day market change, how it is going to impact in the near future when we are doing these projects in terms of OPEX or a RESCO model for 20-25 years. So ASDEC has come up with a promising offer, which is 20-year warranty. And also the aerodynamic design is something which is very powerful in the Indian market, where like Duke was telling, the Indian market, it has a different wind pattern. Extreme south, the wind pattern is different, and in west part of the India, the wind pattern is different. East part of the India, the wind pattern is different. So the way the design, the aerodynamic design of the product is promising, and I believe and I wish ASDEC all the best in the coming future in India.
Thank you. Okay, maybe Dielke, some closing comments, and maybe we can handle the question on how this is also mounted to the roof. The question, one of the questions on the list. How the flat roof module system is anchored to the.
Okay. Yeah, that's another. Well, maybe it's a very technical question on whether our system can be anchored to the roof. It can be anchored to the roof. We don't have easy answers for that, but Nitin is working on a lot of solutions there. We see that there's a request in the market, although actually, to be honest, when we started off in India, I thought a lot of systems needed to be anchored, but I think the way we designed it, it turns out to be not needed as often as I thought it would be. So there are solutions, but the best to answer is specifically for your situation to Nitin, because he will know the exact answer whether it's suitable for that situation. But overall, thanks a lot for this webinar. Thanks a lot for joining. We and I know a lot of people behind us can't wait to come over and visit you all in India. I know it's a challenge, but we'll all be patient, and hopefully whatever, within half a year or a year, we'll be able to meet a lot of you people face to face. And I can only recommend start using the system, start trying it out. That's the best way of selling it. So using it, and I really hope that also Srinivas, I know you're really working hard to meet the energy transition. And there's a lot of hurdles, but I think you're doing a great job to step for step tackling them, and also Freek-Jan from a more policy perspective. Thanks a lot for your support, and let's make this a great success together, hopefully.
Thank you, Dielke. And then I would like to hand over the floor to Nitin, to our General Manager ASDEC India, for a unique promotion offer on our introduction of our Indian-made products. Nitin.
Yeah. So basically, we bring one promotional offer. So whenever you are ordering Flatfix Fusion IN10, you use this promo code or IN10, and you will get the 10% discount. And this offer is valid till 31st May 2021.
Okay, thank you, Nitin. Okay, then last but not least, it's allow me to finalize the program with, first of all, a big thank you to all participants in this webinar this afternoon. Despite the Corona situation, we're very happy you all joined us. First of all, stay safe, very important. Also, of course, a special thanks to all the speakers this afternoon, from our ambassador, Martin van den Berg, Srivrenas, Dielke, Nitin, and Freek-Jan for your very good contribution to the program. The Global ASDEC Solar Group is a lot of people behind us. We are only standing here with 2, but there are 300 people behind us, are supporting our customers, but are now also supporting the Indian adventure of the ASDEC Group. And we are very committed to make this a success. And as Dielke told you, we also hope to see you in person as soon as possible. And we want to help you with the energy transition in India with our solutions to reduce your project planning time, your installation time, and to increase the return on investments and your safety performance of your system. So have a nice afternoon, evening in India. Greetings from the Netherlands here in Deventer. And I hand it back now to Geeta for the closing words. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Mark. I would also like to thank all the speakers and presenters for sharing their great insights. On behalf of Solar Quarter First View Group, I would like to once again thank ESTEC India for giving us this wonderful opportunity. A big thanks to all the lovely audience members for being a part of this amazing webinar. Hope to see you all soon at our upcoming events too. Till then, stay safe and stay happy. Thank you.
Thank you, Geeta.
Thank you.